Hey guys, it's Andrei here from Elite Exposure again, and I've got an exciting video for you guys today. I've got a guest on the show today. His name is Jon. He is a business coach specifically for tradies. Hey Jon, how are you doing today?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Andrei. Nice to see you.
Awesome. Nice to see you too. Thanks for coming on the show. And basically what we're going to be talking about today is just general marketing for tradies, as well as putting systems in the back end, because one issue I find more often than not is I will do marketing for, let's say, a plumber, electrician, landscaper, whatever it may be, and it goes well, they get leads, but we find that, especially with the sales follow-up, there's a bit of friction there. So they're getting the leads, but they're not closing as much as they typically hoped for. Now, Jon, what do you find is the typical reason for that?
Yeah, well, you led me into it, really. It's bad systems and for follow-up and for sales, you know. I have the same response. I see people's ads and they're like, I'll get you 30 quote opportunities in 30 days or per month, or, you know, your money back or something. And I think, yeah, that's all very well, but well, you know, who can handle 30 quote opportunities? You know, if not everybody, right? So it sounds exciting and it sounds great, and you think, oh, I'll be rich and I'll make loads of money and it'll be fab. But the truth is, if you can't get to 30, you're wasting your time. If you can't service them properly, you know, you should have asked for 5. That's something different, you know. So you need the other things. You need to be able to service the leads in a timely manner, qualify them properly so you don't waste your time on the ones who aren't good for you. You need good leads, right? You need,
Yeah, of course.
nearby, they need to be the right sort of customers for you. They need to want the kind of work you do. You need to have a system, the systems around sales, so you win them. Then you need to have the capacity in the systems so your team can build them.
Yeah.
And then there's more, right? There's more. You need to have the systems to raise the invoices and collect the money, because that's important too. You know,
Yeah.
you need to manage your people so they do a good job. Like, there's a whole raft of stuff there for us to unpack, really. Marketing's important, and in many ways, I like to say marketing's where everything starts.
Yeah, of course. What do you find is like the best like follow-up time for when someone gets a lead to when they should actually call?
Within 5 seconds. I think there's a very real sense, you know, if someone's inquiring, they're hot to trot then, right? Their interest starts to fade immediately. You know, if they're like, oh, put this inquiry in, every minute that goes by between them and your business contacting them, they might be calling someone else.
Yeah.
Or inquiring somewhere else, you know. And if someone else comes back to them or answers the phone or whatever, they've got the lead now and you haven't got the lead, and they've got a head start. They're building a relationship or building trust, and they might even get the sale before you even get back to them.
Yeah, of course. What do you think are like the biggest challenges with trade businesses when they're trying to scale?
I prepared this, I've got notes. So there's a few things, right? I think mainly it's the shift from smaller and informal, and usually from doing kind of word of mouth marketing, and everything's mostly the boss, right? The boss is involved in everywhere. You might have people, you might have tradespeople and an apprentice, but he's kind of involved in everything. But if you're going to be a bit bigger than that, you can't do it like that. You know, the old ways don't work anymore. You've got more people, so you need jobs, because if you've got idle time and you've got 4 people to pay, you know, that will kill you quickly. If you've got other people working, you know, and you unquote or under allow the time, you've got to pay them to do it. It's not the same as when you're doing it, and if you underquote, it doesn't matter so much. You know, they're not as fast as you. So everything needs to adjust, you know, everything needs to be not you so much. You need to have systems to support these people you hire. You probably need to charge more. You probably need to understand that your people are going to be slower than you. So you need to allow more time for everything. And importantly, and of course, back to our point, you need to make sure you're doing enough marketing so there's enough work for everyone to do, or you'll shit yourself.
Yeah.
Right? You know, it's a tried and true story, isn't it? You know, you're busy, everything's great, it's all dried up, and then you're bleeding money in wages and watching what's in the bank disappear rapidly, wondering if you should start firing.
Yeah, of course. Why do you think trade businesses struggle, even though they've got like a really good service?
I think that's an interesting point, because I rarely meet people who aren't proud of the service they provide, right? Most of the tradespeople and the trades business owners I meet do a good job. And so I think what happens is they drop the ball in other areas. They don't build these systems. So they sort of stuff people around, you know. They're not very good at communicating because they're too busy. They don't get to quotes in time because they're on the tools all day trying to fit it in. They don't invoice because they're trying to do it at night after a bottle of wine, you know, or after they've had an evening and dinner and they're tired and they've forgotten. And they're not disciplined about building systems for, you know, recording things like variations and, you know, changes to jobs. So things are informal, which can mean they're half-assed. So there cause frustrations for clients. You know, people don't set expectations around cost very well sometimes. So that causes friction with clients. So it's the stuff around the work they know they're very good at that they maybe either haven't learned to do or aren't very committed to doing. And they need to change, right? Yeah. The new way has to be, you've got to do that as well.
Yeah, because I've had a few clients that actually the best clients I've had that get the most results, they are very good at sales and they are very good at talking to people on the phone. So how would you like structure your like scripts when a tradesman is like contacting the customer for the first time and like closing the job? What would you do, or like what sort of steps do you outline for your clients in terms of getting more sales and like, you know, increasing that closing percentage?
Yeah. All right. I'll probably split them into two types of client. You know, there's maintenance trades where the jobs are small, so they're doing jobs, and then the project trades where the jobs are somewhat bigger. And I split them like that because the buying behavior is different, which means your selling process has to be different, right? So if they're small jobs, you know, if you're a maintenance plumber or an electrician or a handyman or something, you can either close the job on the phone by giving somebody a quote. You know, oh, to do that, it's going to be $800 or whatever, or you can send a tech out to quote on the spot and close the job on the spot and go, it's $800. Do you want me to do it now? You know, especially with something like plumbing or electricals where you go and diagnose a problem first and then you go, right, it's going to be this to fix it. So that's what I would do, right? And with a small job, I would be giving the customer some certainty as quickly as possible. So the plumber I use here in Byron goes, yep, we'll get someone out to you, John. It's $80. Give us the money. Right, you pay your $80 over the phone, and then she schedules it in, and then you're done, right? You don't need to ring anybody else. You've got your certainty. You know the guy's coming whenever she said, and then he shows up when she said, and she calls you to make sure you're going to be there and you haven't forgotten. She calls you if he's going to be late, so you've still got your certainty. And then he shows up, diagnoses the problem, tells you what it's going to cost, give him the go-ahead, job done, and then at the end he's there with his little machine taking your money as well, you know?
Yeah.
So that's the process I would have for the maintenance trades. And I would have a flat rate or a fixed price list as much as possible.
Yeah. What about for these higher ticket stuff? Because I actually used to sell high ticket drainage, and I just know that if I do not call the customer very quickly, I just can't build rapport with them.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be spending so much money. They need to trust me and my company to be able to make sure that their house doesn't flood if we provide this drainage solution. So
you're going to have to go to site, right? You're going to
of course.
You're going to have to answer the phone quick or call them back very quickly, like you said, to build that trust. If you call them back 2 days later, they've probably got someone else in, right?
Yeah.
If you call them back reasonably quickly, right? Probably, you know, being realistic, as quick as possible. Somebody should be calling them quick. I know that's not always doable. You should be acknowledging, you know, an autoresponder doesn't really reassure anybody these days.
Yeah.
You don't give a shit about that, do you, if you're a customer? So somebody needs to call back and do something, right? And what I probably mean by that is do some quick qualification, collect the details, understand the problem, and schedule something. Maybe qualify as to whether they're, you know, what the opportunity is and whether it's worth sending a salesperson or tradesperson out to have a look.
Yeah.
Right. So you qualify. You don't want to drive across town for somebody who's like, yeah, I thought a bathroom might be nice. I wondered how much one was. You know, you don't want that, do you?
No, of course not.
You can answer that question on the phone. So you have a script for that. What's the job? Why do you want it? Who's involved? You know, the normal qualifying questions, right? Money, authority, immediacy, and need. And then you're assessing. Do I send somebody out now? Do I send Andrei out now to assess the situation and speak to them? Or do I say, to give them a quick ballpark and tell them to, you know, look at our website or send them a brochure, or
Yeah, of course.
yeah. So
I
they're the
actually,
two, right?
yeah,
The sales process continues when you get to site and you continue down the track.
I actually have a few clients that are quite scared to talk to people after a certain time. Would you recommend like a curfew for calling homeowners
No,
after?
I mean, you don't lose anything by calling them late, do you? So no, just call. Oh no, you mean time of day?
Yeah, time of
Oh,
day.
sorry. Yeah, absolutely. I guess it depends. If you are inclined to be, on the phone at 8 o'clock and somebody downloads your thing or inquires on your website at 8 o'clock, sure, go ahead and call them. But the reality is we don't want to be working all bloody night.
Yeah,
And if someone's making a web inquiry at 8 in the evening, they probably don't want to speak to you until tomorrow.
yeah.
In most people's mind, the working day is when we expect to be called, and that starts around 8 or 9 and finishes about 6.
Okay.
I'd be in that window, I think. I certainly don't want to talk to anybody at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock.
'Cause I've actually got some plumbers in Brisbane and they call any time of the day because they do 24/7 and they close 80%. Well, they're
Yeah, and look, that's a bit different, right? And
yeah,
I think in that case, I would have an emergency number that's a different number.
yeah,
That somebody's responsible for answering tonight and on shifts or whatever, and they know they've got to answer the phone today, and that's kind of a different scenario.
yeah,
But you don't want to answer the phone for somebody who's like, "Oh, I think I want a new extractor fan in the bathroom. How much is that?"
yeah,
You don't do that at 9 o'clock, do you?
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
What systems would you like if you had to give like a 5-second explanation on how to scale a trade business to, let's say, 6 and then 7 figures a month? What would you do?
Well, lots of things. You need systems and delegation. So you need to be building systems for everything. So I think a mistake lots of people make is they hire people. So they hire people to do the things and kind of let them run with it. And you can't do that. It's a way to fail, right? So you need to delegate successfully. You need to hire a person, give them a thing, a responsibility, write the system with them, give them the checklists to use so they can not forget bits, hold them accountable for following that system, train them in it as well, of course, and then support them in that. So that's the way to scale. I wrote 3 things for things to do. Was this to scale?
Yeah, like what steps would
Yeah,
you take to
yeah.
scale?
So look, I would delegate like that. I wouldn't be just one of the things people tend to do is they go, I'll get this person, I'll get that person, I'll get a team leader and a scheduler and a admin person in the office. And I think that's the wrong thing. You've got to get people and systems together, or they flounder, right? I call it hot potato. So you've got to delegate properly and successfully, not chuck hot potatoes at people,
Yeah,
because it's a way to be disappointed, right?
yeah,
And the other thing is there's a few things, right? You've got to build capacity in you, the business owner. You can't be on the tools 8 hours a day and expect all these people you're hiring to be okay without you. You can't be on the tools all day or in the guts of things all day and expect to be generating enough work for everyone else to do as well. So you've got to make time for yourself to do the other work that's not the old work you used to do. And you've
yeah,
got to learn to let go, right? And then importantly, you've got to get enough work in. You've got to put the energy and the effort, and that's your job, right? The way I see it, until you're quite significantly bigger, the marketer and the salesperson is you,
yeah,
right? You're either working with an agency like yours, or you're calling people and asking for work. But either way, you're in charge of that, right? As the owner,
yeah,
and you're in charge of sales and pricing and following up your quotes and doing all that stuff to keep your growing team of tradies busy, and to look after your admin people and the systems there and support them so they can do all the money and everything. So they're the 3 key things, right? Systems as well as people, capacity for you and time on the business, learning to let go and making sure there's enough work.
Let me rephrase that. Why do you think leads are not enough to actually scale a business?
Yeah, well, it's related to what we said just before, isn't it? Leads are great. They're no use if you don't convert them.
Yeah,
You just waste them. They just sit there and you think, oh dear, that was a waste of money. So they're no good on their own, right? They require everything else. Like I said, marketing is where everything starts. I have a thing I call the triangle model, right? Which my business coach made me put together. So I like to talk about it. Marketing finds the work, And you need a machine for it, right? You need a machine. You need to build a machine that finds work, brings leads or inquiries into your business. And it can have different building blocks, and there's loads of them, but you need a machine. I like it in the sense that it kind of works all the time, steadily churning out leads or inquiries for you, right? And then you need a sales machine that takes those leads and turns them into jobs.
Yeah.
Consistently, with a process, with decent margins, so that's enough to run the business, with your customers getting a consistent experience, right? And then you need an operations machine that takes those jobs and completes them on time and on budget, to standard, with happy customers, without callbacks, you know, without complaints, and get, and keeps the margins, right? If you think you've sold a job for 35% margin, it needs to be done at 35% margin, or you've got a problem. So that's important too. You need to kind of build the margins in and keep them in. And that, of course, creates a flow of money. So you've got to invoice it. You need a back office machine that needs to kind of, bill everybody, pay everybody, manage the money, count the money, understand your numbers properly, meet your compliance obligations, all those things. And the last two things, we've got you and you've got your team. We've got you as the business owner. You need to make this shift from being the tradie who does things to the business owner who gets things done by other people quite a lot, and that's a big shift mentally. And the team, you're going to get a growing team. You're going to get to 100K a month. You're going to have, 8 people, 10 people. You need to look after them, You need to hire good ones. We've all hired badly, haven't we? You need to hire good ones.
Yeah.
Put effort in there, right? You need to lead them well, so to help. You need to manage them well, so they know what to do, and if they're doing it. And you need to set a great culture, so they stay longer. There's nothing worse than having constant churn of employees, and you're always looking for new people. That's a real restraint on your growth.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. That was quite a full answer, wasn't it?
No, that was perfect, man. What would you say that people make, like the biggest mistakes people make when it comes to marketing?
The biggest mistakes, I wrote this down, not doing enough. That's my main one. Marketing's a numbers game. You've got to do enough. And I think what a lot of people do, particularly in that transition from, I kind of get word of mouth because I've done a good job and I've built a bit of a reputation and I know enough people, but that's not enough anymore, right? If you want to grow bigger, that won't get you far, but they kind of think it will. So not doing enough is the biggest issue. When you're just doing word of mouth and it's just you win most of the jobs you get, most of the leads you get, because they're friends and family and people who know they come going, I've got a job, I want you to do it. I already trust you. I know you're not going to rip me off. So you win them all. And then when you start, advertising or doing marketing or asking people for work, those things aren't there yet, and you've got to work to build them. So you need to do more. So the big thing's not doing enough. I think there's a few things, not doing it very well. There's a few ways to do marketing badly. You can half-arse it.
Yeah.
You can appoint an agency, not really work with them properly, which goes kind of half-arsing and kind of hot potatoing, right? You can abdicate responsibility. You can go, great, you're the marketing people. I want leads. And the marketers go, okay, great. Yeah, what sort of leads do you want? You go, I'm a plumber. I want plumber leads. And do you know what I mean? And then you go off, I don't really know what you're talking about. I don't really understand what you do. Get me some leads, and then forget about it and move on. And then, 6 months later, they go, I'm spending all this money and I'm not getting very many leads. So I call that abdicating responsibility. That's a mistake. You got to be responsible.
It's a big problem when clients don't work with us. They sort of just expect to become rich after a month, but they don't put any effort to work with us to help them with, like, not necessarily design, but give us all their creatives that we can actually make a good ad. They don't help us come up with offers because the market is very saturated, especially with plumbing and like lower ticket stuff. It's very saturated, and you really need a way to stand out. And they don't. Some people just don't want to. They think they're like going to give away a cheap service rather than actually make an offer to people that they would actually want, so that they would, get more of the market share that way.
Yeah.
Unless you've got 1,000 reviews, if you're starting out with nothing, it's a pretty hard game.
Yeah, well, and you need to do some work, right? You can't just go, all right, here's $3,000 a month or whatever. Do your thing and expect it to go well, you know? Just like you can't hire a tradie or a salesperson and go and get sales and expect it to go well, or go and do jobs and expect it to go well. There's a few others, right? I mean, that's probably the main one: not doing enough, not spending enough. Do you know what I mean when I say vanity marketing?
What do you mean by that?
Well, I think they make you feel good, but don't really get you any work.
Yeah.
Right? Big fat ad, you know, in the newspaper. It looks great and you can show all your friends, but may or may not do anything. Or sponsoring the football team, or you know, they're great and they're fun and they you know, they're valid, but they're probably not the best way to spend money if you're a trade business. They're probably not bringing much work, right? You know, and everyone will go, oh, I once sponsored a football team and got a job. I think, yeah, but if you'd spent $5,000 on Google ads, how many jobs might you have got, right? So that's a mistake. And I think the other one is only doing passive marketing, which is back to the kind of the word of mouth thing, you know. It's kind of lovely idea that if I do a good job and I'm a decent person and I treat people well, work will kind of come.
Yeah.
You get your signage a bit, and you know, you get some nice t-shirts because that's nice. And then you know, and you get a website, and you maybe get some signs on your vans, and you kind of sit back then and hope it comes. Well, I think you need to be active, right? You need to be active, and hope marketing. Yeah, you need to really be out there shaking trees, right? Getting yourself in front of the people who are going to buy when they want to buy, and saying, "Hey, think about us." And that's an active process, I think.
What would you say are like the lowest ROI things tradies do, but just like willingly without even knowing? Or they're actively seeking to do it, but it's just such a low ROI, it's not even worth their time.
In terms of marketing?
In terms of, well, really anything, marketing, their systems, like,
well, I suppose I'll go around my triangle, right?
Yeah.
And sort of put the crime forward, if you like. So I think I said it with marketing, right? Being half-assed and passive with your marketing. That's saying what I said, you know, I get it mostly through word of mouth, and you know, I may have a signage, I'm a bit half-assed, and I'm not really active. And of course, what happens then is work dries up a bit. The flow dries up a bit of inquiry. I think, you know, not really paying attention to how much work you've got in your pipeline. So I've had a load of situations where people, no, I'm fine. I've got these jobs. I've got these 4. I'm going to win them. They're going to give me, I've got 2 years worth of work in front of me. So I don't need to do any marketing. And then before you know it, 4 jobs have fallen over and they're like, fuck, I haven't got anything. And they're scrambling, you know? And that's a mistake, because that happens. Jobs fall over. You're not guaranteed, you know, until someone signed the contract and paid you their deposit. You haven't got work ahead of you for 2 years. You've got a maybe. I think there's a thing with sales where, you know, because the customers always say, can you give me a quote?
Yeah.
Don't they? Can you give me a quote, right? And if you're not paying attention, you go, yes, and you give them a quote, and then that's kind of the end of it, right? You don't really do any sales, you just price jobs. So you have a shitty low win rate, your customers just go, oh, fuck, that's a lot. And don't really think about it, you know, and you don't follow up, you don't explain what's included, you don't talk to them, you don't build a rapport, all those things, you know. And then with operations,
they don't even compare the apples and oranges either.
No, well, your customers don't know how to.
They have no idea.
Know? Yeah, they've got no idea, right? We're ignorant idiots if we're not a tradie. We don't know, so you need to tell us.
Yeah, right? Well, you need to sell, really.
You need to sell. You need to explain what it is. You need to understand what we want. Make sure you can give it to us. Tell us how you're giving to us what we want. Tell us how you're protecting us from the things we're concerned about. Tell us how what you're giving us is different from what somebody else might give us. Tell us how to understand and compare apples to apples, like you said.
Yeah.
You know, my apple might not be the same as that guy's apple. It's a huge thing, right?
Yeah, of course.
And even with operations, I think people either need to be there on site because they don't trust their people to, you know, work fast enough or to standard if they're not there. So they or they hire people and expect them to be good because they said they were in their job interview, and they kind of just lob work at them, and then, you know, work later and come back to it later and go, it's not working quite how I hoped. And the same with the admin, you know, offload it to somebody, don't really look at it. I have people say things to me like, I don't really manage the money. As long as there's money in the bank, I don't worry too much. And I'm like, if it's too late when there's no money in the bank, you know, and you owe the tax man 200K and, you know, all those things, that's too late then. You've got a problem. So they're the crimes people do, you know, the same with not leading, the same with just hiring people on a handshake because you seem nice, or my friend said you were good. All those things are kind of the half-assing things, really.
Yeah.
You know, half-assing all the things except the things you know and that you're comfortable with and that are your comfort zone. If you half-ass everything else, that's a mistake.
Yeah.
And a common one.
Yeah, I have a very interesting question. Do you think it's ever worth hiring someone that's cheaper compared to someone that's more expensive for the same role?
I'm going to unpack that question a bit because
Let's just say
the answer is, of course,
qualified tradesman. Would you hire the cheaper one or the more expensive one?
yeah. Okay. I'm going to be an arsehole and a business coach on this and say it depends. And what you should do is follow the process, right? So assuming they're both equally good and their experience is equally good and their references are equally good, and you can't put a piece of paper between how good they are, get the cheaper one. But the real answer is go through your process properly and hire the best one.
Yeah.
You know, and because you know, price and what people cost and what they want to be paid is a very subjective thing.
Yeah, of course.
The more expensive one might just be better at bullshitting. He might be lying about what he got in his last job.
Yeah.
Do you know? Or what other job offers he's got, or all that. So yeah, price isn't. And you make an interesting point, right? Because we conflate price and quality. We think somebody is designed more expensive than that guy is going to be better. Well, we don't do it when we're selling so much, do we?
No.
Well, tradies in particular don't, right? They tend to think my stuff's really good, but I can't charge that much.
Yeah.
Right.
And really, if they were in front of the right person, they very
doing
well
their sales properly, having done their research.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people say to me often, you know, you don't understand, Jon. It's different, you know, in my part of the industry, it's different in my part of the country, in my part of the world. You don't understand.
Yeah.
And I'm usually quite rude then.
Mm.
You can charge more. You'd have to charge properly. You might as well go and walk on the beach.
Yeah.
If you don't charge enough and have enough work. You know, who wants to be busy and broke?
Exactly. There's actually an interesting thing that Alex Hormozi said, that if you just double your prices, you'd obviously lose a lot of customers, but you'd get probably the same amount because only half would leave, and you don't have to service as many people. So your cost per fulfillment basically halved.
Yeah. Looking, you know, there's some qualifiers to that, right? You obviously can't charge $500 an hour if you're a plumber.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and because people have got a vague idea what things cost. But my experience is most trades businesses can charge more and aren't charging enough.
Yeah.
And every now and again, somebody will say, "No, I charge this much," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's that's at the top end."
Yeah.
I mean, but generally speaking, people are scared to charge more, charge a bit less than they should, and there's an opportunity to charge a bit more.
Yeah.
So if you're not charging enough, qualify. If you're not charging enough, you should charge more, or you might as well get a job.
Yeah. Or if your conversion rate is too high and you're converting too many customers, raising prices.
You're too cheap, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, like I could talk about this for hours, right?
Yeah.
I take people through a process about charging, you know, understanding what your costs are, making enough margin to cover your costs and make a profit and cover the risks of because things go wrong.
Yeah.
So you must do that. You know, you can understand how you compare to your competition and your customers' other choices.
Yeah.
And position yourself there, you know, on quality and price. And that helps you be a lot braver. And importantly, I think just, you know, be braver, right? People put pressure on you on price. You don't have to give into it. They usually still buy.
Yeah.
You know? I had a guy, an electrician, and we'd done some work on quality and understanding why he was good and what was good, about what he did, and he was quoting on a job. I think it was 400K, right? It was an expensive build and an expensive house, and it was the electrical work for that build. And the builder came to him and said, "We've got this quote from this other electrician, and he's 40 grand less than you."
Yeah.
Like a significant amount. I can't remember the number. 40 sounds right. What are you going to do? And he called me up and said, "What should I do?" I said, "Tell him to fuck off." Now, obviously, we've talked about it a bit more, right? And he went, but basically, he looked at the other tradie, and he said, "Look, I'm an experienced high-end residential construction electrician. I understand control systems and all that. This guy mostly seems to do fit outs. He'll be cheaper because he's quicker. The finishes won't be good. It won't be as good." And he went back to the builder and he said that, and he said, "I'm not cutting my price." And the builder and the owner came back and gave him the job.
Yeah.
Right. So it's understanding what you value is really important. That's a part of marketing, right?
Yeah.
That's the first part. The first step in marketing is understanding what we do, who we do it for, and why we're good. Until you've done that, you're just guessing everything.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of like bathroom, kitchen, landscaping sort of clients, and they expect to be able to sell really high-end projects with a website or with an online presence that just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to sell this stuff, you really need to show people that you can do this stuff. You need to be able to prove it. And if you can't do that, you won't be able to charge what you actually want to charge.
And it's back to that kind of the types of marketing, right?
Yeah.
You need the groundwork. You need to have made those choices and understood what your proofs and your evidence of why you did. And you need to do the passive stuff, the website and things that support the stuff you say.
Yeah.
People are going to check, right? It doesn't matter where the lead came from, right? If they came from your ad or your Facebook ad, they're going to look at your website.
Yeah. They're going to look.
Yeah, right. If it's more than $500, they're going to have a little further around your website. They're probably going to check out your Facebook or your Instagram as well.
Yeah.
Make sure you're not a pack of assholes. And it's something else they don't like. They're going to maybe check some reviews. Right. The bigger the job, the more interested in that stuff they're going to be, because the more risky it is.
Investment is, yeah.
Yeah. So you do all that. You need, I call it the passive marketing or the backup stuff. Even brochures and sales aids are quite important.
I always tell clients to get fridge magnets when they're done with the job. Just chuck it on the fridge.
I do. I like them too. I like fridge magnets and stickers, actually.
Yeah, if you put a sticker on like a hot water unit that you just installed, yeah.
Yeah, right. And everywhere they're there already. On the inside of the cupboard door in the kitchen, one under the sink, on the heater. On the and fridge magnets on the fridge, and maybe in the electric box if you're the Sparky.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's
all
smart.
The places. I mean, it depends what trade you are, right?
Yeah.
So, but I totally would, and I would tell them my number's there next time.
Yeah.
They'll remember that. They don't need to remember your number, but if they'll that's right, his number's on the fridge.
Awesome,
very
man.
Powerful. Yeah, I call that relationship marketing light.
People really underestimate relationships. They just finish with a job and then they just bugger off. They don't do that is a potential referral sitting right there. It's free money.
Yeah.
They don't utilize it enough.
No, and it's free money and it's easy money.
Yeah. Because referrals, you'll always have the highest close rate on referrals. So
I had a plumber here in Byron, and he came to do a job, and before I knew it, I had fridge magnets in the post.
Good.
And I didn't put them on the fridge because I don't like them on my fridge, but I stuck them on the fridge in the garage because the beer fridge.
Yeah.
Next time I called him or bumped into him, Byron's a small town, I said, "Have you got a business coach?"
Yeah.
I used to have one. We're all teaching similar stuff, right? But you can tell when someone's paying attention to that stuff. I still use him. He's still my plumber. I haven't bothered. I don't look up any other plumber now. I know the name of my plumber.
Yeah.
And I just Google the name of the plumber, or I Google plumber, and he comes up and I go, "That's right, that's him."
Yeah, and most homeowners are pretty loyal too, as long as you do a good job. So
yeah. Although I'll notice something, right? This I'm Googling it is a pervasive thing for us,
Yeah.
I found myself quite recently. I wanted a handyman to do some stuff. I'm not very handy, right? I'm lazy, can't be bothered, don't have many tools. I'm not very handy around the house.
Yeah.
Had some jobs I wanted to do. I looked up handyman on my phone.
Yeah.
And I called one, got no answer. before remembering that I have a fucking handyman in my phone whose name I know, who I know personally.
Yeah.
And I went, oh shit, right, that's right, Dean. And then I looked him up and rang him.
Yeah.
I said, can you come and quote me? So even though I know somebody who had done work for me before and I liked,
Yeah.
I still just jumped on Google and started searching.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. And I think it calls to mind, well, if we're going to have a marketing conversation, it calls to mind, all the stuff's important.
Yeah.
The marketing, the lead magnet, the branding on your van, so that when you do your Google search and then you see him and you go, oh, that's right, him.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you're doing your Google search, you need to do them all together a bit. You need to have, I think even you'll probably agree with this, it's worth having the ad, the Google My Business, and the organic listing on there.
Yeah. All of it.
If you see all three there, you're probably calling one of them.
Yeah. You just take up more real estate.
Yeah.
Way.
Well, it's reassuring as well. If you're the person booking a call, that's very reassuring. Yeah, probably on their game, right?
Yeah. What would you say business owners can do to like improve their profitability straight away?
Oh my goodness, charge more money.
Easy answer.
Easy answer. Yeah, look, we touched on this before. To improve your profitability, you've got to be charging enough. It's a big crime people don't charge enough.
Yeah.
So one of the first things I do as a coach is look at whether that's happening for them. You should be hitting a benchmark. You should be working a 40-hour week, taking a wage, and making a profit of 10% of your revenue, a net profit margin. So the first thing I do with new clients or potential clients is look at that. Where are you compared to the benchmark? And if you're not hitting the benchmark, we've got an opportunity. And it starts by looking at your margins. Then we go into that loop of understanding the costs and the margins on the costs and things like that. And then the next part to that is marketing. How busy are you?
Yeah.
You can be busy as anything, doing loads of work. If you don't charge enough, you're not having any fun. Charge as much as you want if you've got no jobs.
Yeah, of course.
And that doesn't help you either. So they're my two first kind of, because I really want to persuade people that they should do marketing. It's fine when it's busy. We've all had times when we're busy, right? I've lost count.
Yeah, what would you say to someone who just says, oh, they're too busy, why would I do marketing?
Well, because that changes all of a sudden, right? And when it's changed, it's kind of too late and you'll be stuck in a quiet period because you don't go, great, I'll turn on marketing and get leads tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's a lag there. So it can dry up all of a sudden. If you're not doing marketing and you're busy today, it's an understandable thing to say. But what happens is you're at risk of turning around tomorrow or in 3 months, or if you didn't get those jobs that you thought you were going to get and going, fuck, I've got nothing. And now I'm quiet. And it's going to take me 3 months. And now I'm trying to find somebody to take my guys as a subcontracting labor while I try and drum up some work for us again. And you're in a nasty position, or you're thinking of letting people go, or I've heard this so many times, right?
Yeah.
The pipeline was skitty. They thought they were fine. They thought they were busy. And then they're saying things to me like, we're in a quiet patch. Or they say things like, market's a bit quiet at the moment.
Yeah.
I want somebody to say the market's soft at the moment. I nearly punched him. And they say things like that. And what happens, of course, is they also go and speak to their mates who do the same kind of marketing, who say, yeah, I'm a bit quiet too. And they think, oh, it's not my fault. Everybody's quiet. But the reality is there's probably people who are really busy. If you talk to somebody like me or somebody like you who's got clients who are doing their marketing properly, there are one or two lazy people who are a bit quiet, but most people who are doing it properly aren't.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I think, marketing does a few things for you. It gives you that confidence, that you should do it.
Yeah.
So you don't get quiet. It does a few other things too, right? And, if you're a bit half-assed and you don't have many inquiries coming, the ones you do get are really important. You really want to win them.
Yeah.
And you lose all your power and your confidence in the sales process because you're a bit kind of desperate. And people can smell that, and it's not very appealing.
No.
You know, and it makes you have shittier margins because you tend to discount to win them.
Yep.
Or if someone says you're a bit expensive, you tend to respond to that by saying, "I must be right. I better discount."
Yep.
You know, you take on jobs you shouldn't. No one wants that, right? You take on jobs for
Or,
dickheads.
or cheaper, right?
Well, yeah. So you take on a job for somebody shitty, or a shitty job that your business isn't really strong in, or for somebody who's not very nice.
Yeah.
You know, for a shittier rate because they push you and you don't feel strong, and then you regret that. So marketing helps you be confident. You know, if you've got a billion leads,
Yeah, you basically get to pick the jobs you actually want. And
yeah,
if you don't want, just tell them to bugger off.
yeah. If someone says you're too expensive and you've got a handful of leads in your pocket, it's really easy to say, no, I'm not. Don't worry about it. Go and find
Yeah.
someone cheap, you know, and direct them to somebody cheap and shitty, you know.
Yeah. That's actually something most people don't ever monetize. Have you ever seen a trade business offer to offload leads for a certain rate?
No, I haven't, and I can see the appeal.
Yeah. Even if it's like $5 or $10 per lead, even if it's something real cheap, like High Pages and all those services, they charge you up to like $70 for a lead that is
And they give it
already
to three
shared with
people.
1 million people.
Yeah.
So like, I don't see why people don't utilize that. It just
Well, I mean, no, look, I've never considered it, right? I tend to think the main game is building your business and getting your leads. And if it's a lead you don't want or you're not going to win, forget about it. Focus on the ones you do.
yeah,
So I tend to operate a bit like that. But I see the point, you know, why wouldn't
yeah.
you have
You've already paid
somebody?
for the lead. You may as well try to get something back for it.
Yeah. Well, even if you have a friend who does that kind of work,
Yeah,
you might be a builder, and builders get leads for kind of maintenance work, often from the people they built stuff for.
yeah,
And they're not cut out for that, right? You don't if you're a builder who builds houses or does renovations, you don't want to go and hang a door. Do you know what I mean? It's not you're going to lose money on that. So you'd be far better to have a handyman friend and give it to him
yeah,
or sell it to him or something.
yeah.
So
I would happily sell the leads, especially if you're a bigger business and you've got lots of people under you.
yeah,
Like I have a bathroom renovator and he's always offloading like tiling work. And I was saying to him, why don't you just sell it to them?
yeah,
They'd happily, like, even if you're giving that to them for free, you could sell it to them for like 10, $20 a pop.
yeah.
And
You could,
that could be beer money. And that'll
well, it
be
could be beer money. You could even just give them to him. And if you've got a relationship, go and collect every now and again. You know, and go, how many leads have I given you this month?
yeah.
Where's my
Or you could just charge them a percentage, like I don't
yeah,
know, 2% of
yeah,
whatever job you sold, or 5%, so they don't feel like they're just paying for leads that just end up going nowhere, you know?
yeah, yeah? I don't see why you wouldn't do that if you had spare leads.
Yeah. A lot of people do, especially the more expensive ones, and they get the cheap leads coming through that they don't want. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'd probably be suggesting they went to you and said, let's get better leads. You know,
oh yeah, yeah, of course.
let's work on that. Let's, I don't know, qualifying the leads and target
Yeah,
differently and things like that.
there's plenty of systems you can put to stop that from happening in the first place. But
Yeah,
you do always get the one, or it's a referral or something like that you
but
didn't
they
pay
come.
for, but they
Yeah,
still come.
yeah, they come all the time. I do it all the time. I don't really work with very small tradies, people under 30K,
Yeah,
but they respond to my ads and they're interested in the stuff.
yeah,
And it's usually a real quick discussion, you know. And no one gets the shits with me for saying we don't really work with people that small. They just go, oh, right, yeah, I'll come back when I'm a bit bigger.
yeah,
This isn't appropriate for me right now, John.
yeah.
You know, so it's not even a bad thing to do to qualify out of a job.
No, of course not.
I don't think your customers are going to be upset. But a lot of people find it difficult to say no.
Mm,
That sales process, they don't want to let people down or piss people off. I think the reality is people understand, you know, and you're helping everybody by not wasting anybody's time.
exactly, for sure.
Yeah. One of the things I do, I talked about this marketing groundwork a little bit ago, and that's one of the things I like to do with my clients is help them bridge this gap between, you know, I'm an ignorant trader and I don't understand marketing, and the agency who's like, what do you want?
Yeah,
You know, so some of the stuff I try and teach people and help people to make decisions about is, what do you want? What kind of leads do you want? What kind of work do you want to do? Because if you're not careful, you know, and you're a bathroom renovator, you also want bathroom renovation leads.
mm,
But the reality is there's different types of bathroom renovations, there's different price points, there's different language you can use in your ads and your landing
exactly.
pages that attract the different types of people. You need to understand that so that when your marketer says, what are we going for here, you know what they're talking about.
Yeah, and often when I ask people that question, they have a response for me straight away, and it's always the wrong answer because they just say, like you
Everything.
just said, just want bathroom leads. Well, it's like, well, do you do like half the bathroom? Do you need to hire other contractors? So like you only charge 10 grand for the bathroom and then they need to supply another 20 grand worth of materials and other contractors? Or do you do the full thing? Do you charge 30 grand for a bathroom, or are you going for more of a budget friendly bathroom that's closer to like 15 or 20? So
Yeah, and they're both valid,
yeah,
right? And it depends where you are and what your kind of the social demographics are, where you're operating and where you're advertising. But if you're not specific, you'll get poor quality leads.
yeah, of
So I
course.
try and help people with that. I think quite often try and help people get their heads around that and get their heads around what they need to say to marketers and what they need to be saying on their website. Because I've said this a few times to people, don't just go to your marketer and say, I need a website.
Yeah.
Because they'll say, okay, what do you fancy? What do you want? What do you, and if you go, oh, I don't know, website, because you haven't really thought about it, you'll get something you'll either have a frustrating time where they kind of go and guess and come back to you and say things like, how about this? Or you'll end up with something a bit lame because you haven't put much thought into it and they're not fucking mind readers. You've got to bridge that gap as the tradie and the business owner.
Yeah.
That's your job, right? The marketers will do their best, but if getting information out of you is like pulling teeth,
Yeah.
they're going to struggle. And if you can't think about it, you're going to struggle to tell them anything that's very useful to them, right? We've
Yeah.
all got to be responsible here. And that's why I have a business, right? Because
Yeah.
I can help people and teach people that and bully them with it and say, don't just relax and sit back and hope they're going to do it for you. Get involved and
Yeah.
stay involved with your marketer and look at the reports and make them explain them to you. And, and even come back to me and we'll talk about things, help meet with my clients, marketers and, see if we can't work together as their team and make things better. Because I think that's important. Otherwise, you get this kind of, I'm just a trader, I don't really get it, and I'm
Yeah.
a marketer, and I can't. I'm trying to get the information out of you.
Yeah. I've spoken to a lot of people that just don't seem to understand their numbers. Like they
No,
genuinely don't know how much it costs to acquire a customer. And
no,
that's probably like your biggest cost in a business is how much does it actually cost me to get a customer through the door and give me money. Right. And a lot of people don't know that, even when they are marketing, they just don't even know what marketing they're doing. They say it doesn't work, but they don't know why it doesn't work.
yeah.
Right? They don't even ask these questions, whether they're
Well,
doing
they've
it
done what we've
themselves
said
or
often,
hiring.
right? They've appointed somebody or initiated a thing, and then left it alone.
Yeah.
They attend to the leads when they come in. I had somebody come to me not long ago, an ex-client, and say, I'm spending, I don't know, 2 or 3 grand a month on SEO. I feel like it's not working. And I
Yep.
show it to you. And he showed me the reports. He was getting, I don't know, 5 or 6 or 8 leads a month and 200 hits on his website. And I was like, no, it's not really working, is it?
No.
and 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 it was very frustrating for him. He appointed them maybe 2 years ago. He'd had not really any interaction with them
2
since.
years.
Yeah,
Wow.
he'd not really had any interaction. They were doing the stuff, but there was that mismatch, It was a bathroom renovator, and they were optimizing for plumbing rather than bathrooms, and there was just that mismatch, yeah. And it was a disappointing situation for both sides, and it was there was no way to point a finger and say you're doing a bad job.
Yeah.
Nobody was doing a great job,
Yeah, of course.
and it was yeah. If I talk to the clients, get a good marketer, the tradies, get a
Yep.
good marketing agency, but work with them all the way along the way.
Yeah. 'Cause I think my best performing clients are the ones that are actively speaking to me.
Yeah, of course. Because you're having the discussions and you're looking at the reports and going, okay, we're getting this many leads.
Yep.
How can we get a few more for the same money or
Yeah.
something? That's the game everybody wants, isn't it?
Yeah. or how can we get better quality leads, or basically
Yeah.
just feedback is like the most important thing. Because I've had a few clients in the past that gave no feedback, and then at the end of the month they're like, oh, this isn't working. And I'm like, well, what do you mean this isn't working? You got leads. What were the leads like? And they're like, oh, they were terrible. But it's like, you could have said something throughout the entire month, but you
Well, that's right. Yeah.
said nothing, you know?
Yeah. And you can drown people in shit leads.
Yeah, of course.
And yeah, we'll go back to it's the responsibility of the tradie to drive that conversation and say, hey, I've had 10 leads, 5 of them have been shit. What should we do?
Yeah, of course.
Do you know?
That does happen. Like, you will get shitty leads sometimes, and you just need to adjust.
Look, and I think that's probably fair to say. Any marketing campaign like that is a process.
Yeah.
You don't set it up, turn it on, and go. And you have to keep iterating and looking at it and making it better.
Exactly.
At least for a while, but probably forever.
Yeah, because it can always get better.
Well, and situations change and algorithms change and competition changes and all that stuff, right? The way we're buying and behaving, and in terms of how we respond to advertising changes.
Yeah.
Suddenly you've got to be on TikTok because that's where the kids are. All that.
Yeah, depending on what you do, some platforms are definitely a lot better than others. But
I'm not sure about TikTok for tradies, but
no, not TikTok, because it's all like 15-year-olds. But definitely Facebook and Google. You want to be on both.
I've started putting ads on TikTok now and videos on TikTok.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know if anybody watches them. My friends see them, laugh at them.
It's always encouraging.
Yeah. Mate, I have to go in a minute. I'm really sorry.
No, that's all right. I think we did quite well.
I think we did too. I think that'd be fun for people to listen to, don't you?
Yeah, I think so too. Anyone serious, of course.
Well, you'd have to be serious to listen to an hour's worth of that.
Awesome.
Look, how should we finish off? What do we do?
I guess we just finish off. We sort of just say goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Jon, for coming on the podcast today.
I enjoyed it.
I hope everyone got a lot of value out of this.
Yeah, thank you, guys. I hope it was useful. I'm sure you can find me if you need to. I'm sure you can find Andrei.
I'll put all of Jon's links in the description below. You can find him.
Okay. All right. And let's return the favor next week.
Awesome.
All right, mate. See ya.
All right, Jon. See you later, mate.